I'm aware that many of you have expressed a desire for online counseling, and to that effect, we have a sponsor who will help you and assist you in that respect. So if you will, go beneath the video, you'll find a link to our online counseling sponsor. They have a whole team of counselors that can help you. Practice self-care, get the help that you need. Through the years in my counseling practice, I have conducted many different anger workshops and things of that nature. And so I've spoken with all sorts of individuals about the need to have healthy assertiveness in their life. You have a real ugly form of anger, which is the aggressive or sometimes the passive aggressive form of anger. And those never tend to produce good results. But then you have the healthy, clean form of anger, and that's assertiveness. That means you're going to stand up for who you are. You're going to take a stand for your convictions, and you're going to speak up about your needs and establish boundaries. Those kind of things are part of assertiveness. One of the biggest problems that I have is when an individual is committed to trying to have clean, healthy, assertive anger, they still don't get the results that they want. I give you a couple illustrations. There's this one woman that came into my office, and she had been everybody's doormat for who knows how long. And we began talking about her need to stand up for herself, and it was her responsibility to speak up on her own behalf. And that message really resonated with her. And we began talking about assertiveness and what that would look like. Well, she came back the next time, and she had this big grin on her face when she was speaking to me. She said, "Oh, you would have been so proud of me." And then she gave this long list of people that she just royally chewed out. The people at work, her sister, her parents, other friends. It was just like, I just told them all the sort of things I've been building up, that's been building up on the inside of me for so long. And I was thinking, I think we went a little bit too far with this. And sure enough, I found out as we continued to talk that the individuals didn't respond well to that, of course. And actually what she was talking about was more in the direction of aggressiveness than assertiveness. Or another more common kind of scenario, as I recall one woman, we were talking about assertiveness. And in her case, she had this real egotistical husband. And her comment as she would speak to me was, I try to stand up for who I am, and he just shuts me down. And he will not listen, and he just takes it as an opportunity to come right back at me. It just didn't work. Well, let's see if we can focus on a major question about what it means when we say assertiveness works or assertiveness doesn't work. And it really all depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Now, many times when people are being assertive, they have all sorts of things in their mind that seem right and appropriate that they're hoping to accomplish. For example, in assertiveness, you may hope that you can change that other person's mind. When you speak up, do you have that thought in mind? I want that person to think differently as a result of our conversation. Or you're in assertiveness, you're looking for a higher level of coordination. Or maybe you're wanting that other individual to show respect to you. Okay, that makes good sense. Is that the goal of your assertiveness? In assertiveness, you want to have the other person validate your wisdom or your way of thinking. You'd like to provoke stimulating discussion and perhaps have that other individual share with you in an adult fashion about who you are and what you feel and where you'd like to go in the relationship. Sometimes when you're assertive, you're wanting to hear the words, "good point," or "you're right." Is that what you're hoping to accomplish? Many times in your assertiveness, you're wanting to coordinate lifestyle responsibilities in a more fair and equitable kind of way. Or it may be that you're wishing to create an atmosphere of logic and reason in the ways that you interact with each other, and where it's been missing in particular. And you're wanting to create a clarifying and enlightening form of interaction between yourself and that other person. And so as you go into assertiveness, those can be your goals. Now, once you've done that, what's the likelihood, though, that it's not going to be met very well from that other person? Maybe as you are assertive, that other individual may just walk away. Like, I don't even want to listen to you. They don't even give you any kind of audience. Or it could be that they come back with real strong argumentative reactions and they just want to pick a fight with you. Oh, so you think that? Let me tell you why you're so wrong. And they can just go straight into that blustery mode and argue vociferously. They can do the point counterpoint kind of game with you. That you say something, they say something opposite, and then you continue to do that, and the game is on. Or as you're assertive, it could be that other individual just goes into the blame game. Well, you want to know why we're having problems, and they start pointing the finger right back at you. Or it could be that as you're assertive, that other person just may cry and then just go into meltdown. Or they can take the victim's role. Look what you're doing to me. You're making my life miserable. Or they may just kind of have an I don't care reaction. And so here you are. You're the kind of person that says, well, I have all these goals and I try to speak up. My goals seem to be reasonable, but many times I get these reactions that leave me thinking it just didn't work. Now, to respond to that, let's see if we can get an idea of what we're talking about when we say assertiveness works. Now, first of all, as you're thinking about your assertions and speaking up and standing firmly on your convictions, I want you to check your motives. What is the ultimate motive that you have? And you need to be really honest with yourself on this one. Does the successfulness of your assertiveness hinge on that other person becoming different? And that being the case, are you, in your assertiveness, are you wishing to be in the control position? Again, be honest. Are you trying to convince that other person, even whether they're going to be convinced or not, you're trying to convince that other person of your correctness? Are you trying to induce guilt? And so let's make sure that we pull back and examine those kind of things. If that's your motivation, convincing and controlling and guilt induction, then your assertiveness is not likely to work well. Instead, sometimes assertiveness can be gratifying if for no other reason that you heard yourself stand up for yourself and speak. And that other person may still come back with their shutdown mode or their invalidation. But for you to be assertive, it's like, well, I know that that's what you think, but I believe what I believe anyway, or I have my convictions and my priorities anyway, and that's what I'm going to do. Assertiveness works when you live according to your convictions. And when you let it be known that you believe in yourself, you have self-respect, and you're going to let that self-respect guide you in the way that you engage. And that being the case, like that woman that went and told everybody off, maybe instead of going quite into that aggressive mode, she could have let other individuals know, I'm going to be changing my tactics. I'm going to be standing more firmly on my convictions, and I'm going to do more follow through. And so you have a well-defined definition of who you are, and unabashedly or unashamedly, you follow through on that. And it could be that in your assertiveness, you change your actions. You're less of an appeaser, and you're more of a person that's true to your own needs and convictions. You give yourself permission to be you. And if it means that you give yourself permission to be you, knowing that you're going to be separate and distinct from that argumentative or non-cooperative other individual, you do so. That's assertiveness. And the key that we want to recognize is assertiveness doesn't have to work only if the other person changes. Because if that's the case, then we're going to go back and say, well, assertiveness is all about coercion and control and convincing, and that's not a pattern that any of us really needs to be getting into. So sure enough, when you're assertive, there's no guarantee that the other individual is going to say, I really appreciate your efforts. And in that sense, it may not be gratifying, but for assertiveness to work, it means that you are true to yourself. And you stand firmly in your words, in your convictions, your priorities, and you move forward in being what you know is wisest and best. And if that other individual doesn't seem to appreciate it, you continue anyway. Now, there is one other thought for you to consider. For assertiveness to work, you want to be true to yourself, but then there's another question that has yet to be answered, and that is, if I continue to be assertive and I'm successful in standing up for myself, but then this other person chooses not to coordinate, is this a relationship that I need to put a lot of energy into? And is this someone that I need to invest myself in the fullest way? That's a separate issue. And so you may have to come to terms with what all that means. But I'm hoping in the meantime that there's a sense that says, I'm standing true to myself. If the other person coordinates, that would be wonderful. If they don't, I'm still standing up for who I am, and you're going to know who I am based on my legitimate words and my actions. That's when it works. I hope this gives you some good food for thought. If you've not already done so, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button for our Dr. Les Carter channel. You know, I have the other Surviving Narcissism channel. And so this one, we talk about some different kind of issues. If you have a need for counseling, and sometimes as you're thinking about these kind of topics, it provokes that thought, I would encourage you to seek someone in your area that could assist you. Or if that's not a possibility, or you'd rather go a different route, we have a link below for online counseling. And the team that we have that's a sponsor for us has a whole group of licensed professional counselors with experience that they could link you up with. And if that's the case, I would encourage you to avail yourself to that link below. We also have links to my books. We have The Anger Trap, and we have When Pleasing You is Killing Me, that would address much of what we're talking about here. Our online courses like Free to Be, and then we have a new one that's going to be coming up in just a few weeks called This Is Me. It's about establishing boundaries, so keep your ear out for that one. And then other resources below. Clean assertiveness is a part of a healthy way of life, and I hope that's something you're committed to. And then let's recognize that you don't have to hinge your sense of well-being upon the other person's response to you. I'm hoping you can feel good about who you are with or without that other person's approval. And in doing so, you're going to take a strong stand for self-respect. Don't you think that's a right and good thing to do?